Hey family, it is Jeanette the Oracle, and I wanted to jump on today to talk a little bit about money. I know we have so much money stuff. I get it, I get it, I get it, especially for women entrepreneurs. But trust me when I say it is okay, you are safe, don't worry, you got this. And you're not alone, right? You're not alone. We have all been where you are, and we are all still working through our stuff around becoming what I like to refer to as economically sovereign. And so, what I wanted to do with the video today is to touch on something that I don't actually see being discussed much in the greater kind of entrepreneur and especially not spiritual spaces, which is the difference between revenue, profit, and cash flow, and understanding the importance of these concepts so that you are really operating and running a sustainable business. Everything is not just wealth mindset, it is also behaviors, wealth behaviors. And those need to be rooted in practical action that is focused on the things that really make a difference in our livelihood. And so this in particular is coming up because right now, as I'm recording this, we're in tax season here in the US, and that may be different for you depending on what country you live in. But that has immediately brought up stuff for folks, and understandably, right? Because money is not necessarily comfortable for us. But one of the things that I have been noticing that I've been finding quite disturbing is the lack of looking at one's numbers until tax time happens. Y'all, we cannot do that. Like, we really cannot. That should absolutely be a red flag to you that you need to call in support. Like, you need to have a financial professional who is working with you on a regular basis, i.e., monthly. So, a bookkeeper and an accountant, or somebody who does both. And you need to be working with a coach and possibly a therapist as well to unpack some stuff. But it is not sustainable and safe for you to go an entire year plus some months before you go, okay, let me compile all my statements and my numbers and see what's actually happening. You must do this on a regular basis, and you can set that pace, because what happens is you'll find that you may be making money, i.e., revenue, the money that you collect from your clients and the customers, but perhaps your profits are so low, your profit margins are so low that you don't have wiggle room to hire somebody part time or full time, or spend money on ads, or do a new photo shoot, or invest in better um, uh, components to create the products that you're trying to create, right? Like, it's profit margin is really, really important to look at. And there's actually a few different ways to calculate a profit margin depending on what you want to focus on and how you want to strategize. I won't get into that with this video, but I do actually get into that in my small group coaching program, Sovereign. So if you want to go deeper there, definitely come through for that program. But having an understanding of your profit margin is important, because that tells you um, the amount that is available to create a financial strategy for the future. All right. But again, like I said, there are a couple different ways to manage that. At the most, or to calculate that at the most basic level, it's basically just going to be the revenue that you collect minus the cost of the goods sold, or whatever the cost is to deliver your particular service. Like, that's the first step. It's called gross profit margin. But then there's also the thing called cash flow. And cash flow is, what's the money that you actually have in the bank? What's the cash that's coming in? That rate, is that happening at a rate that's covering your immediate expenses as well as future expenses? That's called a positive cash flow happening. Or do you have a negative cash flow where that's not happening? You don't actually have the money for those new things. Depending on your business, like, that's really going to be something important to look at. And in particular, particular for product-based businesses, or if you have a business that offers both services and products, you have to watch your cash flow. Okay. Because just because you might be making a high profit does not necessarily mean that you are in positive cash flow. So, for example, if it costs you $5 to create a particular product and you sell it for 10, okay, you got a profit of $5. That's awesome. Um, and that money can be used to create new product. But that's also not considering additional costs that you may have coming up, like, subscriptions, utilities, insurance payments, or any other payments that you want to make, again, in the grand scheme of things. So really paying attention and watching those numbers regularly to see, like, okay, do I have a cash flow that's actually helping me to handle the responsibilities that I have that are coming up and that are consistent, or not? Is the profit margin that I have improving over time so that I have this kind of nest egg, which I can use for investments for other things, or not? Are my costs rising and my profit margin decreasing, right? Like, these are things that if you don't know, then you will find, and this is what I see happen, folks will be making money and then they're like, okay, I'm burnt out, I'm overwhelmed, I don't have the ability to actually grow, get some help and support, and I'm not understanding why. And it's like, well, what's actually happening with your numbers? Because, okay, yeah, you might have made six figures, but your bank account and those profit margins, so profit margins and your cash flow, is going to really tell you the real story about what's going on. So all that to say, again, our success is collective. You do not need to do this on your own. And how would you even know, right? Unless you, again, went to business school or took, a specific course on business accounting and things like that, you would not know. So it's important to get yourself help, always in the places where you kind of shy away from, or that's really uncomfortable for you, that you might have shame and guilt around, or what have you. Don't let that be an excuse for you to not take action that will be sustainable for you, that will be safe and secure for you, and that will put you in a place of, again, like I said, economic sovereignty, where you are being purposeful and intentional about the decisions that you're making, and even more importantly, strategic. You know, one of the things that can happen is we're so focused on making revenue, making revenue, making revenue, and not understanding that often we don't actually have to work that hard. But again, we won't be able to see that and know that if we don't pay attention to what is already happening. So I encourage you to take a look at your numbers, get help where needed, and you should have help if you're running a business to handle your numbers, and get any additional support that you need to help you move through any things that are coming up with that. But don't do it alone. Don't judge yourself for not being perfect or not knowing. Again, unless you went to school for it, you would not know. Allow yourself to have the support, get into those numbers, and make better financial decisions. All right. And of course, share with me how it has been helping you, because I do care and I do want to know.